And finally, my teaching career comes to an end. Oh my gosh, what is that winning team? Hi everyone. And this has been the endurance of a lifetime, literally. Because I've worked with kids like so much of my life. It's not going to end completely because we still got to deal with the orphans, the kids in the underground tunnels, the unwanted children, my generation, in a different way. But it's over, guys. The last exam is finally done for all the kids. And so I'm just here like, actually, I was going to walk the grassy route, but all the cars are wet, bro. I'm not trying to get my Jordans muddy right now. Let's go the other way. It's done. I'm not teaching anymore. I've had enough. I've had enough with the system itself, obviously. But then I've also kind of, dare I say, I've had enough with fighting this battle of like having minimal influence, trying to literally do all that I can, whilst literally every other factor in these kids' lives is like working against their success. Oh, we can't see the sky again, by the way. It says it's not supposed to rain today at all. I don't know what that's about. But I like it because it's a cooler day. I was actually cold earlier. I was cold. That was actually amazing. I love feeling cold, as I've said before. But anyways, yeah, it's over. Like, it's over. I take it really seriously, if you couldn't tell. Even though I'm not the one sitting the exams, because I feel for the children, because I remember being 16, like this is one of the problems I kind of have with the adults, is like, do you not remember what life was like when you were 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10? Like, because I remember like feeling like it was going to be the end of the world. Like, I cried every results day, except the year I went to university. And the only reason for that was because we got our confirmations about our university placements before we received our grades, because they send the grades to the universities automatically, I think the night before. So, and me and my family were actually at Legoland when this happened. And I couldn't sleep in the morning because I was like, I need to know if I got in. So by the time I got my grades, I was still disappointed, by the way. And had I got the paper first and then had to call the university, I think that would have been one of the worst days of my life. And so I remember every single results day, crying, especially for our GCSEs and A-levels now. Like, the 16-year-olds of today, the year 11s, they do all of their exams in this May-June period, whereas what we did when I was at school was we had January, June, year 10 and year 11. So I had 4 exam periods in year 11, and then I had 2 exam periods at A-level. So that's 6 back-to-back exam periods where I'm like getting my results and like literally crying, except the time when I got like 97% in the maths exam, at which point I was loving my life because I couldn't believe I pulled it out the bag, because I had just kind of come up with my own method to improve my grade. And my teacher, she really believed in me, and she was like, I think you can do better than this. I wasn't even top set maths. I was in set 2 when we had 6 sets. And she was like, I think you can do better than this. And she gave me some feedback, and that feedback changed how I do a lot of things forever. Like, a lot of things. Because ever since then, I slowed down, I didn't rush through the questions, I double checked it's all the stuff I say to the kids, you know. And to think, like, these small conversations that we have in my job role, right? As much as everyone's like, oh, we're so grateful for the teachers, I don't really believe it, because nobody really seems to actually act like it. Because if you did, you wouldn't make our lives, thank you, more difficult. You would make our lives more difficult, which parents do, by the way. And I think about these little conversations I had like with my teachers and how they actually changed my life. Like all the different teachers I've had, from everything I've been successful at has all been a result of having a really good teacher, you know, in the mix. So at school, why did I do the best? So I got my highest grades in RE, maths and chemistry. You know, A-levels, it took a dip because one of my teachers, one of them, the chemistry teacher, she was pregnant. So then she left and we had this other guy come in who struggled to speak clear English, which when it comes to things like chemistry, where you have to be very specific and very like on point with how you answer questions, that's what makes it so hard for the kids here, at least, is because you can't be vague. You have to be very clear and specific about every single thing you're talking about. And then he gave us his notes. He's like, I made these notes, just look at the notes and you'll be fine. These like 10-page scribble notes of his ideas. Nah, bro, wasn't working. And then my maths teacher at A-level, it got to the point where like we just didn't have any respect for the guy, because when he would teach, right, I wanted to study pure maths, right? I was initially going to go and study maths at university. It was actually solely because of him I ended up not doing it, because I just couldn't figure out, like, is it me or is it you? Like, I can't figure out who's the issue here. I now do believe it was him. I'm going to explain why in a second. But he was literally reading from the textbook. Like, the textbook had in it 9 chapters, which are all the 9 topics. And at the start of each chapter, there would be a breakdown of how to do like the easiest to the hardest types of questions. So we were actually better off not listening to him at all. Because he would say certain things, like we would be like deep into like a maths calculation. He's filled the entire board. We're all like hanging on to his every word, trying to track what he's saying. And then he'll get like 3 minutes into the explanation, about like 15 lines down in like the working out, and then be like, oh, and then he would get stuck. So then we as a class would start to figure out what was happening, or we as a class would correct him. And it just got to the point where we just didn't care, like, because we were just like, bro, this is just, you don't know what you're talking about. And then I ended up doing well in the module that he didn't even want to, he told me he didn't think I could do. And one of the things he said one day, and we all burst into laughter, which was probably not nice for him, but I don't know who let him work. That was my other thing, because our head of sixth form, oh, I remember her name, and she still works there, by the way. I remember her name. I'm obviously not going to say it. I could not stand this woman. Oh my gosh. Anytime I had to talk to her, anytime she was walking around, I was like, ugh. She was like the epitome of when you have somebody that loves just being in a place of power and dominance, and isn't necessarily passionate about what they do, but just passionate about the fact that they get to dominate. She was like that. So I'm not surprised she didn't get rid of him. But I remember one day he was like, 99 plus 1 is about 100. Like, that was the exact example. 99 plus 1 is about 100. Huh? So it's 100. It's 100. It was just really funny. And it's funny because I had said to some of the kids in my class, I was like, I think this guy's got early onset dementia. After we left, he bounced between, I think, 4 or 5 different schools, because me and my friend one day decided to look up what he was doing. And he'd been to 4 or 5 different schools, and then I think retired. And I was like, in like 4 years. So it wasn't working anywhere else. So there was that. Now, my biology teacher, she was lovely. And he taught me maths and further maths, because I did chemistry, biology, maths, and further maths at A-level. And she was lovely. Loved her, hated the subject. That's when I realized I hate biology, because we're not going to get into the details. Loved her, though, hated the class. And none of my favorite topics came up in the exam. The exams are just so weird as well. And And that's when I realized that education was a scam, by the way, because at this point, I'm now talking to people who are about to sit their GCSEs, who've already completed their A-levels, who are doing like the college courses, which are vocational, but the same like level. And that's when I realized that, hold up, wait a minute, we're being screwed over, because how comes one of the guys in the year above me, the year he got a C in, was it maths? I don't know. But the year before, the exact same grade was an A. Like, this is why I'm just like, I'm happy for the kids. I was mostly concerned, obviously, for my own brother. Like, I need to just help him to at least get past this hurdle, because I do think you need like the basic education up to GCSE. And he's very smart. But then I'm like, I worry for who the next batch of kids who are coming in, because they're also now saying, like, so for example, like in the physics exams and the maths exams, they give you like some of the equations, just like how you get periodic table in a chemistry exam. But they were saying to the kids, yeah, and it's the tone in which it's being said, that you guys are going to be the last ones who are going to get these in the exams. Next year we'll have to learn them, because this is the last year we're doing anything to make room for the COVID, what happened from COVID. I was like, first of all, we've not recovered anything from COVID. All they did, yeah. So normally, you know, like how in a class, saying, depending on the topic, you do 1 to 3 learning objectives. And those learning objectives usually come directly off of the curriculum as the exact PowerPoints written in said curriculum. Right? So that's what we do as teachers. We go look at the calendar, how many lessons we have, how many weeks, and then you assign numbers of days, all of them, to make sure you cover all of them, right? That's how you do that. That's actually one of my favorite things. All the stuff that's like not in the classroom about teaching is my favorite. Like the planning, the making of things, all of that. Love that. And after COVID, they were just teaching like 8 learning objectives in one, which I say teaching, barking. This is what they were getting people to do to make up for lost time. Half the teachers, quick side note, I just saw this car. I saw white when I was there. It's like still not that far away from where I live. And literally, we got here at the same time. This is why I walk everywhere, because it's actually quicker than any other form of transportation. And on top of that, I'm actually getting, I'm actually moving my body. Because that irritates me. I hate wasting time. Like, if I know there's a quicker way to do something, I'm going to do it. There's something so creepy about them building like this whole new arts and culture quarter, as it's being called, behind me. When right there used to be something I actually thought was really good. They used to have, was a big building with housing for young people. And there, they used to charge you literally like, not even kidding, like £1, £2 a week. And it would be for like young people in a tough spot to like give them their own space and their own place to like kind of get their life together. And now they're putting this, like, it's kind of dark, low key. Is it like as if my generation needs any more screwing over than we already have? But yeah, so also I've just realized, now that they've turned this whole section into a taxi area, where do the people like going to the gym park now? I mean, it's not that far, to be fair. There's 2 car parks, like pretty local. I don't know, man. Anyway, so yeah, so they're saying that, but I'm like, you guys didn't actually solve anything, because the kids have not been taught anything. They've just been barked at. Like, there's a difference. This is what I've realized. Also, yeah, that was what I was going to say. A lot of the teachers as well during COVID weren't even having their cameras on. I think that is unacceptable, to be honest, because it's hard enough to make sure that children focus, and I feel like it's our job to help them help themselves. As in, they're going to get distracted, they're going to find anything else, and especially if they're like in the comfort of their home, probably they're on their phones. You just standing there and reciting information with your camera off, like, anyways. It's cooked for my generation, low-key. Well, actually, Gen Alpha, especially, but my generation also. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just, why are they saying that? Also, they're almost saying it as if to say, like, we were doing this favor for you. But, like, we had those as standard when I did my GCSEs 13 years ago. 13 years ago, 14 years ago, we had those as the standard. Because they're just equations, and there's a lot of them. So I don't get why they're acting like they did some noble deed and, like, the kids are getting some kind of, like, gift or extra help when it actually doesn't help. Because my point is with that is, and the reason why I don't think it's a big deal, is having the equations doesn't mean you know how to use them or know which ones to use. You still have to understand what all the letters and numbers mean and know which ones you're supposed to use when and why. And that's not something that's on the sheet, but whatever. So that's just another thing where I'm just like, where is this bitterness? I think it's the bitterness to youthfulness in general. That I think when people, the older you get, the more bitter you get towards young people. I think that's what it is. I'll be honest. As 19, like, literally, I would say, let's be conservative. 60% of the things that, oh, that's so cool. Hold on a minute. Of things adults say to me about my age is always some, like, either how invalid my experience or opinion is because of my age, or how much worse life is going to get the older I get. That's probably why I have such a negative viewpoint about being part. So it's added to why I have such a negative viewpoint of being alive, because I'm like, you're just telling me that everything is just going to be bad and it's just going to get worse. Why would I be looking forward to the future if you're making it sound like it's going to be hell? Like, genuine question. All right, let's see how we're going to do this. Anyways, back to what I was actually saying initially. Yeah, I've just decided that as of just, I don't know when, I don't know, it's sad that I had to get worn all the way down to make this decision, because I should have done this anyway. But I'm not spending my time doing anything where my efforts are not being appreciated. And by appreciated, I don't mean like, here's a thanks and thank you for all you do. I mean, when there's other parties actively ruining the progress I'm creating. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it. I don't care. And it's funny because I even got a text a couple of days ago. We need a teacher for this job role. Please reply. We're going to have, interviews in a week. Like, they're getting desperate now. Because, like, where would you even get my number from? Brother, where did you get my number from? But they're desperate now. And of course they are. They would be. Because they shot themselves in the foot. What teacher in their right mind who actually cares about children would work in this education system as it is? Between the home lives of the kids and the school life and the school system itself. What teacher in their right mind, right? So as I've said, even at, like, the lower level of, like, preschools and stuff, nowadays kids are not even necessarily potty trained by the time they're going to preschool. And I'm talking about when they're, like, the age where they should be. It's like, and parents will do everything to never be accountable for absolutely anything in their child. So there's an irrefutable argument there, because it's like, you didn't even do the bare minimum, like the bare basics. And I can tell, because a lot of parents have this energy of like, oh, we're just going to, like, leave them with you and you're just going to, like, figure out their entire life. Yeah, no. It's the most unappreciated job, I think. One of the most underappreciated jobs you can do. Because, what? Because, as I'm saying, so many teachers in my life, my university lecturers, I didn't think I was smart. I was crying every results day. That's why I find it funny when, people accuse me of being arrogant or whatever, or have accused me of thinking all this about myself. I thought I was an idiot. I wasn't even in gifted and talented. I wasn't even in top set maths at school, in secondary school. I didn't think I was very smart. It's only in being at university and the encouragement of my lecturers when I was like, wait, because they treated me like I deserved to be there. And like they thought I was, especially the way they were very kind of like not very bothered about the fact I was like always running from my lectures to go to dance or cheerleading, and like sometimes rescheduling like stuff like with my supervisor, who was so understanding again, rather than being like, well, I don't think you're taking your degree seriously. Understood that like, you know, it was important to me, and dance did really serve a purpose. Like I think that's why I enjoyed university so much, because I would spend the whole day until 6 p.m. in lectures. So then by that point my brain was exhausted, and then I'd go and do 3 hours of cheer or dance. So then 9 till 9 essentially I've just been exhausting my whole body, and this is probably why I used to sleep, because by that point a whole day of education and then 3 hours of dance or cheerleading, at that point I was like, okay, I've used my, like I've burnt calories and I've used brain power. Like that's why now, again, my job has become boring, because honestly the work is just too easy. Like nothing is stimulating my brain. I'm lacking in, that's what I desire in life. I need to find something I find like mentally stimulating, because nothing is. And it's funny, it's ironic, because I think a lot of teachers, again, that you can tell that a lot of them, the subject they teach, they're not necessarily like, especially at the secondary school level, they're not necessarily passionate about their subject or even competent at it. Perfect example being, my brother was telling me about one of his science teachers who was there when I was there, right? And the way she got into teaching, that job role, apparently she's a really horrible person to be around, which makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Like, in a lot of job roles, yeah, of people that are trusted, there's got to be some kind of vetting of like a mental state that happens, because even like with therapists and stuff, like, I'm like, there's got to be some vetting of like your mental state, because otherwise you're just a, I need to find a term for it. But I find a lot of adults to be like this. Like people accuse children of their behavior, not knowing how to control their emotions. But a lot of adults, they live out their wounds by the way they treat others. In a lot of ways, like managers who micromanage everybody. Similar thing to me, like teachers, where it's like actually police officers are a better example. The police officers you meet where they genuinely care about protecting the public, and they have a real genuine sense of duty, and they're good at what they do, and they don't take the mick, and they want to see everybody win. We love those police officers. Then you have the ones whose wife clearly doesn't respect them. Like, then you have the ones whose kids are more interested in watching KSI and think he's cooler. You know what I mean? Like, it's so clear and obvious. So then when the way they behave, it's like, oh, now I've got a badge and a uniform on. That's how a lot of people are. That's why I say everybody wears their wounds. I wear mine. I'm aware. At least I'm aware of it. That's the only difference I would say. At least I'm aware, that like, but this teacher, she was, sorry that I sound really slow and sluggish, by the way, guys. I was trying to nap. I woke up really early. So I was half trying to nap just before I came out to kind of try and pass the time until the exam was done and until it was reasonable hours, which was a mistake because I had a horrible dream, but whatever. This teacher, I keep wanting to say her name. This teacher, that I used to have. So the story of how she became a chemistry teacher was she wanted to be a dance teacher, but we already had one. And our dance teacher was amazing at my school. And she left, which is sad, which is funny because all the good teachers left, by the way, especially when the new head teacher came in, because she was just a tyrant. And literally 20 of the staff left that year. And like all the other good teachers were saying to us, like literally to us, the students, like, yeah, I'm retiring in 5 years, so I'm just going to ride it out and then I'm gone. Like, this is the teachers telling us. The teachers literally telling us. And one of the teachers I had, my history teacher, he was great. He was like, I started when you guys, in my year group, when you guys were in year 7 and I'm leaving now, and he moved to Australia. And I was like, that's such a mood. That's such a mood. He was like, It's funny. Like, it's actually quite funny that all the good teachers I know of, a lot of them, they left their job roles where things like similar to my university, right? Where in the end, I don't know who's bigwig in it. I got involved in this stupid thing myself, unfortunately, where they did this whole campaign. It was called One Campus, One Community, because the entire university is in different areas of London. So we were like right near the... So where we were was like the health and sciences subjects were there on that campus. And then if you went to, I think, East, in the area where there was all like the museums and all of that, is where they had all the art subjects. And then if you went to the business area, I think it was... What area was it? How come I can't... If I saw it on the tube map, I'd remember. But anyway, it was in the business capital, and that's where all the business and law was. So we had 3 campuses, and they wanted to bring all the campuses to where my campus was. And I stupidly agreed to a photo shoot, which ended up having my picture posted all over the place at the university and on leaflets and all sorts. Like, me thinking it was so much fun to like do the photo shoot. It was all a scam. It was, again, just another version of we're spending all the people's money. This, I'm like, it's the same story everywhere. The same way that right now they had put the prices down for public transport in this town. They've put them back up again. Yeah. But at the same time, they're building all these new buildings. At the same time. Like, brother, make it make sense. Like, you're taking down where, like, the young people could go and live. And I knew young people who actually, you know, like, turned their lives around, who'd come from complicated, like, home situations. Because I think you could even be under 18, or I can't remember how it all used to work. And now, look, you can see it from here, where that big crane is. That's where it is, right there, over there. Over there. And so I'm just like, this is what we're doing. So funnily enough, my favorite lecturer, my project supervisor, Dr. John Tandy, he also left the university. And it just doesn't surprise me because he started in my second year. And obviously he's a physical chemist. So the whole idea of physical chemistry is it's physics and chemistry, right? So everything is quantifiable. It's very like I said, I don't like things that are vague. So I don't like biology. Like, what's vitamin D? What's glucose? Like, tell me C6H12O6. I don't want to hear glucose. I want to hear C6H12O6 because it tells me what it is. What the frickin' frack are all these words? Vitamin D. What is that? What is that? That doesn't tell me any information whatsoever. But anyway, let's not go down that tangent. That's my problem with biology. It's just like applied chemistry, basically. Oh no, it's me, never mind. I thought it was raining, but then I realized it's me kicking the moisture from the ground onto my leg. Would you believe it? The mosque is open, the church is closed. The pub, I don't know if the pub's open, I can't tell from here. Yeah. So, what was I even saying, brother? Yeah, a lot of the good teachers, they leave. He left. Dr. Tandy left. I saw he's gone to another university and I was like, fair, because they weren't even giving very much money. And I always thought it was stupid because, like, do you realize the scientists you have here, like, you should invest money. And, like, my university, historically, for, like, the hundreds of years before, was known that they used to have some of the greatest scientists actually using those exact labs and that exact space. But my university got caught up in a couple scandals throughout the years. One of which being, and this is why they don't rank that as very highly as a university, because they kind of got penalized for this. They were prioritizing international students because in the UK, when I was at uni, it's more expensive now, but when I was, it was £9,000 a year tuition across the country, wherever you go. And then if you're an international student, you pay £18,000 per year. So they were basically prioritizing the international students. They also did something stupid as well. They built this huge building right in front, like across the road from the university in the front. They're like, we're getting these new student accommodations, right? There was like, I think it was like 700 of them or like 900 of them. I think it was 900 because only 350 of them were filled. And it was all foreign students, by the way, mostly Chinese students. It was like 300, they only had 300 spots because it was just too expensive. All of it's just stupid, yeah, at the end of the day. But going back to my chemistry teacher that my brother now has, she wanted to be the dance teacher, but they already had a dance teacher and they needed, would you believe it, a chemistry teacher. They needed a chemistry teacher, so they literally made her teach the chemistry out of the textbook. What the hell? So if she's still doing that 15 years later, because it's actually more than that, because I had her when I was in year 9. Is it actually about to rain? UK, have a day off. Have a day off. So if she's been there for 15 years, no wonder she's grumpy, because apparently she's horrible now. Apparently she's horrible, according to my brother, and I believe him. Because I can see how that would transpire. Imagine staying there. Like, I would be miserable and grumpy. Not towards the kids though. Like, I'm not a believer in taking your feelings out on children. Hence why me working with kids is great for me, because it helps me to just like not be annoyed all the time. It's actually about to, bro, this weather, yeah. And do you know what? I could smell rain in the air, but I check the weather. This is why I never check the weather. Have you noticed? It's only been when it's been raining, I've been checking the weather. And this is why I don't, because it's not reliable. And people always laugh at me for the fact that I never check the weather. And this is why. This is exactly why, because it's not even accurate. Like, nothing's accurate. Like, I have an issue with inaccuracy in life. I think this is how I found the Lord. I have an issue with inaccuracy and incompetence. For the same reason, I don't ask questions. When I go to stores, I will rather spend 10 minutes searching the entire store for something I'm looking for than ask a person. Like, because I can't be asked. It's going to be quicker. It's going to be quicker than finding someone, asking, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. Let me go ask my can't be asked. And it's not that I expect them to, like, everybody to know everything, but, you know. Yeah, no wonder she's freaking grumpy. And do you know what's crazy as well about that? Is when I was in her class, in like year 9, and I did chemistry, I'm pretty sure I got like an E. I'm pretty sure I got an E in chemistry. And then I had the other lady afterwards who also left. My favorite chemistry teacher that I ever had. And she's probably the reason I got good at chemistry, because it was a surprise to me that I did really well in chemistry. It just happened to, I guess it comes down, like anything that's just like logic-based, numbers-based, I'm good at. As soon as we get into the airy fairies, like I used to get into these disagreements with my English teacher all the time. And she was this Canadian lady, and every time like I would give her an answer, because she'd be like, explain how the theme of despair is displayed in chapter 15, where Pip, we read Great Expectations, where Pip was at the gravestone of his mother, and how that, you know, relates to what's happening in the story. Every single thing I would say, this woman, I see where you're coming from. I see where you get that. But no, every time. And do you know how I know it's real? Because my brother told me that my other brother, yeah, we've all been to the same school now, but the one who's younger, just the older, younger one, right? He told me this, he had the same thing. And it was one of the funniest things when he said it, because I was like, so she's still doing that. And then she'd be like, guys, can you see? I've got my nails, they change color. Oh my gosh, she was insufferable. And she was also the same one who was like, oh yeah, you could have got better in your English and your English language, your English literature, but you got your target grade, so I didn't think there was a point in telling you, but really you needed just to improve on your spelling, punctuation, and grammar. And I still struggle with spelling, punctuation, and grammar to this day. So it's like, I could have done that then. I could have done that then, and I could have known, because had she told me, like my maths teacher did, yeah, this is why my education is overrated. Had she told me, I would have worked on it, because I locked the freak in. When my teacher was like, look, my maths exam, I got a B. She's like, look, here's what you need to do. I'll mark extra papers for you, yada, yada, yada. I think you can do better. And she even said, after I got the higher paper, she was like, when I got the next paper, when I ended up getting A star, and I got 97%, right, 97%, which means I probably dropped like one or only a couple marks. And she was like, I could move you up, but honestly, I think it might be better for you to just stay here. And I was like, and me too. Love her, by the way. And she's a great teacher. And she's also chaotic. Loved her so much. She was chaotic in the most funniest way. Like, in a way, I feel like me and her are kind of similar, where it's like, if you look at the rest of our lives, you would never think that we are so good at like locking in and doing complicated things, because the rest of our lives are chaotic. This is why I'm like, guys, people hear I'm a teacher, I think they think I've like got my life together and like whatever. I'm like, bro, it's chaos over here. It's chaos behind the scenes. These are kids, and so there's not their business. And I gotta, show up. But yeah, so and I was predicted to get a C in maths and a B in English. And I got an A in maths and a B in English because my English teacher said, well, you got your target grade. Yeah, your predicted grade, was it? Yeah, I was predicted, sorry. You got your predicted grade. So I didn't think that I needed to do anything else. I was like, bro. And I'd actually got A in a couple of the exams that we did for English. So I was just like, really? Really? And like, I remember sometimes, even when I would like do my work, I wouldn't be sure on the spelling, like when we would do like classwork. And so I would write it how I thought it would be in the hopes of being corrected, like what teachers do when we mark people's work. Yeah. So there's that part too. So this is where I'm just like, you know what? My thoughts on just teachers and teaching, it's like, I feel like I'm wasting my gift. Basically is what I'm saying. It's a waste. And it also just stresses me out because I'm like talking to the kids, oh, my arch nemesis cat. Hello. There's a cat gone missing. There's another missing cat sign. I was just like, brother, the cat's not missing. The cats are never missing. Because I see the cats in the middle of the night, loving life like me, strutting around the place. Like right now, you won't really see them. Every now and then you'll see them like transitioning between here and here. At nighttime, they're just like me, walking around, strutting their stuff down the road, out and about doing things. There's no humans around. It's quite funny. But what was I saying? Yeah, so this I'm just like, you know what? I'm not wasting my gifts on people anymore. Like, that's what I've come to. Because I'm actually kind of I'm so sick of compliments, by the way. I'm so sick of people saying to me like, oh my gosh, you're so good at this and you're so great at that and thank you for doing this. Just to then make my life a headache. Because with the kids, I don't mind. They're children. And actually, they are the most... Oh, an airplane. They are the most... the ones I would understand being a bit of a nuisance. And they're not really. They're just ignorant a lot of the time. So sometimes when I tell them to do stuff, it takes them a few times to realize that I told them to do it a certain way for a reason. Maybe they should listen to the person who's already completed all of this. But the reason why I say all this, and the reason why I felt like I also wanted to make a video in the endings of my educational career, unless the Lord tells me. That's the only reason I will end up back in it, is if the Lord tells me, because I must do the will of the Lord. After all He's done for me, the very least I can do is whatever He asks me to do. Is to say, like, if it not for these teachers, like if not for having such a good chemistry teacher and such a good maths teacher, right? Even though they left. My maths teacher, if she never believed in me and pushed past whatever my predicted grade, which was calculated, by the way, based on your postcode. So it had to give you your postcode and what's typical for your area, as well as that you're living in, as well as your this random test we do on the first week of year 7. I've just come out from primary school. Yeah, we've just done a year 6 production and I've had an entire summer on the first week you're deciding my entire future on. You go and do this exam, yeah, they make your predicted grades, which are then all the way into year 11. So 5 years later, I've come in here as a little pipsqueak, barely 11, and I'm about to leave here at the age of 16. And you're telling me, you know my trajectory when you haven't even known me because I've been here for 1 week, yeah? And then I get to the thing. Imagine if my maths teacher hadn't believed in me and she just thought, oh, she's just predicted a C, we're just going to leave her. Imagine they put me in set 3. Imagine I was another teacher that sucked. I would have never got the grades I got. If I hadn't not got an A in maths, I would have never been able to do maths and further maths at A level. I probably would not have qualified also to do chemistry. Guys, that's a fundamental, like, this is what I mean when I say, like, I don't think people understand what we're doing. Yeah, it's raining. It's raining, it's pouring. I'm in a silly mood. It's actually raining. That's crazy work. Yeah, I don't think people realize, like, if it not been for those people, like, that's so fundamental. The same way, like, when I did my business thingamabob, I don't know what you'd call it because it's only a level 2. But again, it wasn't in traditional education. He, like, runs a business, basically, and he's just incredible, like, everything he's done. If not for that, for me doing that, I would have never put my face on the internet. I would have never read the Bible cover to cover. Not that he said that I should, but just because he talked about, you know, your subconscious. I wouldn't be understanding a lot of stuff happening in the world because he talked about, like, the cycles of business and how this works. He talked about, he was the one who was saying, guys, AI is coming. This is years ago, so when I was still living in London. AI is coming, you should factor AI into your business. And he was right, because if you were an early adopter of AI, then you're the ones who are going to capitalize the most off of it. Everybody hopping on board now is really not going to make as much money as the people who did at the beginning, similar to like cryptocurrency and all of that. So that was, again, incredible teaching from his part. My dance teacher from my professional dance company, who was the #1 dance teacher in all of England, that was the best dance training I ever had, was as part of his company, right? These are like key characters, like the people who actually influenced my future, like so much. And so to me, this is why like being a teacher or like education isn't like a light thing to me, because it's like, this is people's future. This is their future. Like these kids, right, in 3 months' time, is it 3? 2 months' time, in August, are going to go to the exam. It's going to be actually almost exactly 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, right? They're going to have to go on the Thursday to the flipping, get their results, and they're going to stare at a piece of black and white paper that determines their entire future in a lot of their opinions. And then the Christians are also doing the same thing, not going to the Lord for what their children should do, or not spending time observing the children. Yeah. And that's ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous. And it's just a lot of pressure. And like, I feel like I'm at a point where I can't just like, look, it's actually raining. Can you see the rain on my face? I can't actually pretend that I think, oh, the kids just finished exams as well. I think they're going to be all having to go back in the rain. At least it's over though, the exams and this period of their lives. Until next year for the next batch. But my teachers were so like fundamental for me, and I feel like, especially me being how I am, because I'm very talkative, I'm quite, vibrant and bubbly, as people would say in this country. I talk with everybody, but I do actually care about the work, and also I don't think I'm not arrogant the way people think I am. And I feel like my teachers were the only ones who ever really understood me as a person, and I think that's why all of this is so meaningful to me, because I'm like, wow, these are like people. Because I mean, even I remember one time when I got my results, meanwhile, I'm crying because I didn't do better. I remember, I think it was my dad who even told me. He was like, yeah, can you believe everybody at church was surprised how well you did? Because obviously he kept telling everybody my grades, even though I kept telling him not to tell anyone, and he kept doing it anyway, which is how our relationship of trust ended abruptly. He was like, can you believe everybody thought you were dumb because you always talked about hating school? And I was like, you guys really wanted to see me fail, like in church. Like they wanted to see me fail, and they were actually assuming the worst. They thought I was an idiot and I was going to get pregnant, and I was going to be pregnant at church. That's what they wanted. They wanted me to turn out to be this rebellious, I feel like being around my teachers was like the one time and the one place, like at school and in education, where and I know this is the truth for a lot of kids, like it's the one place where when you have good teachers, where you have people that actually, because they spend enough time around you, and also because they're teaching you, they get to know your personality more. Because when you're actually teaching somebody, it's different to when you're just barking orders or telling them what to do. You have to figure out how are they going to understand, how are they going to learn, how am I going to translate this information in an appropriate way. And you also learn, you also have to kind of create that element of safety, as a kid or as any student, doesn't have to be a child, them feeling comfortable enough in your presence to ask the questions if they're not sure, and not feel like they're going to get chastised for it. Because I feel like a lot of that happened in the older generations, especially coming from Zimbabwe. Because let's not forget that I also went to school in Zimbabwe, and I would just like to say while we're here that education was top tier. That was top tier education I had in Zimbabwe. I learned my handwriting is from there, because people are like, oh, look, you've got really nice handwriting. I'm like, yeah, I learned handwriting in Zimbabwe. We also were learning Portuguese. Other interesting story arc. And it was amazing. But then I will say there was one kid in my class called Trevor. I'll never forget this guy, I don't think. And he would always mess around. And then we would be outside, and it would be like a scene from The Handmaid's Tale at assembly, because we used to have our assemblies outside, come to think of it. And there was a stage, and he would actually, we had them inside as well. What am I talking about? And do you know what song we sang once at school for our production? Summertime and the living is easy. What a random choice of song. But anyways, and he got beaten. He got beaten with a long. They used to have these long 1 meter rulers, the wooden ones. Oh my gosh, he used to get beaten, and I'll be like, have you not learned? Every week I'm thinking, has this guy not learned? Have you still not learned, brother? He didn't learn. But So it's just interesting. That's what I'm saying. It's interesting to have kind of had a little bit of a experience. What I've taken away is that, it's a lot of value that you get at school. And it's funny because in a lot of parents' heads now, because it's normalized, it's just shovel off my kids to school, roll the dice and hope for the best. But it's like, for people who are who claim to be so concerned about their kids' future and so loving and so doing anything for their child, you don't seem to be very involved in their actual future path in life. Because that's why I think sometimes, the amount of times I've been like standing there, like looking at an adult parent in the face, and I'm telling them what their child needs to do, because I'm the one who's in the system. And also, if not even for that, I'm the one who was in the same framework and doing these same exams 13 years ago or 10 years ago, however many years ago, depending on when you're asking me. I'm looking you in the face and I'm telling you, this is what you need to do for your child. And they're looking at me like, I don't know about that, because back in my day, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help you. Like, these are the conversations I'm not having. That's what I'm saying. I'm not waking up in the morning, to have brain dead conversations with parents. I'm not doing it. I'm waking up in the morning to go to teach children and to see the light come back in their eyes and them feeling confident, or for them to come back the next day having all of that light beaten out of them because of the adults that they live with. I ain't doing it no more. I ain't doing it. Look, I haven't got any children. Well, I had one, technically speaking. Rest in peace, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it anymore, because it's actually torturous for me. It's actually traumatic. It's traumatic because I see the potential. Like, it's like watching potential dying before your eyes, like every day, knowing there's only so much you can do about it. It's just torturous for me. And knowing that the people being hurt don't understand the bigger wide world around them. They don't understand, and it's not their job to, because they're children. The adults who are supposedly taking care of them, not taking you seriously and your advice. Because you see the parents who listen, they always benefit afterwards. And then you know what they always say to me? Whatever you suggest, I'm going to do it. Because you're the one who knows. I'm like, thank you. It's just. So that chapter's coming to a close. I'm done with it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm so done. I can't watch it any longer. I really can't. I can't just sit there saying stuff that sounds stupid to me, to children, for them to then ask me why, because they're realizing it's stupid. Because that's the only difference, between adults and kids, and why they're considered to be badly behaved sometimes, is because as adults, we normalize illogical thinking, as long as that's what everybody's doing. The ad populum fallacy I was talking about the other day, that if everybody's doing something wrong, if we're all doing it together, then we just decide it's right. I can't do that anymore. I can't do that. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's real life raining, and it said 0% chance of rain all day. This is why you don't trust in anything and anyone. But anyway, I'm not doing it. They get it. The kids, they're thinking logically. They're like, well, why is this? And I'm like, why is that? That's a great question. And the number of times I felt like an idiot. Why do I have to do something like this? It doesn't make any sense. The same way when I was at school, and they're like, if you want to impress the examiner. I don't care about the examiner. I don't know the examiner. I don't have any credentials for said examiner. I don't give a crap about what the examiner thinks. And to this day, I don't care what the examiner thinks. And I'm sick of having to tell the kids, well, in your exams, in the mark scheme, if I never see a mark scheme for the rest of my life, it'll be too soon. Because no. In the mark scheme, if you want to impress the examiner. Who gives a crap about the examiner? It should be about your future, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, how you're going to succeed in life. Not getting some grades so that you can just go and go and filter what careers you can have based on what grades you got. Like, oh, well, I got this grade, so I'm going to now filter. That's why I hate it. The one thing I hate the most is when I'm like asking kids, like, oh, so what would you be interested in doing? Maybe like, do you have any, whatever? Because I always ask them that question. Because again, why are we only doing their education in blocks when it's all one long chain that leads to their future? Then the whole time we should be thinking about like everything about it. I could go on about this forever, so I'm going to shut up. But and then the kids are like, I don't know. I'll just get what, it depends on what grades I get. Brother. So anyways, I'm going to skedaddle. Oh, that's just so cute. There's a little kid on his bike with his little raincoat. Oh my goodness, this is so adorable. I will say that and wellies. I will say that the baby clothes, they do get to me. I can't lie. I do find myself like looking at all the baby clothes all the time when I'm out and about. I'll admit. Imagine having a baby in this world. Yikes. So anyways, there's that. It's an end. It's coming to an end. Me saying this every year for the past like 2 years. I just don't know how much more of it I can take. Like, genuinely speaking, I don't know how much more my heart can take, because it's to the point now where like it almost feels like torturous almost to like keep putting myself through this. And also it's like watching them as well and watching them stress. Like, I just want them to be happy. I'm glad they're going to be done, the year 11s now. They're going to have summer. It's going to be the longest summer they've ever had because they're not going to be at school in July. They're going to have prom. They're going to no longer have like the strict rules of school. They only have to show up for their lessons, so they're getting a bit more freedom. So now they can actually, you know, like start to have, and that's the sad part, that in life, at the time in your life where you have to be the most responsible is a time when you have independence and freedom to do whatever you want. And at the time when you don't, you're dependent, right? When you're, is when you have no say on your own life, when you're actually supposed to be having it. Because we should all be having childhoods that are full of, you know, growth and learning and experiences and exploration, imagination and fun and just healthy things. But then we're all being bossed about by flipping adults, yeah, with like no room for becoming whatever we want, whatever, you know, not everybody, by the way, obviously, with little room to like become whoever, to like blossom into the flower that God created. And then once we're an adult, we're having here so many responsibilities. Anybody got time for all of that? Anybody got time for that now? Now you need to work because now you got bills to pay. Now you got people to provide for. So it's just backwards. It's like, it's all bad. This one, I'm like, why is anybody excited to be alive? I don't understand. I really don't. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go. For life's a game, play to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. I'll see you on the next one.